Thank you.
With that, please stand. Mr. Winterbore, would you please lead us? Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, I can say.
Thanks for joining the meeting.
Think I'm doing. Think we have to. Stopped.
Open. All right. The first item on the agenda is the adoption and modification of the agenda. If there's no modification of the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Please vote. Oh. Yeah, correct. Please vote. Sorry. All right, next up on the agenda, approval of the consent agenda items. The consent agenda consists of approved regular session minutes for October 16th, 2024, approved program evaluation minutes, approved bills for payment for November 2024, approved out-of-state travel for Wisconsin, approved out-of-state travel for Iowa, approved MOU, approval of the updated MOU with Beacon Mental Health, approval of the RFP for student laptop replacement, approval of the 2024 bus routes, approve election filing dates, and approve personnel report. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please vote. Who is the second?
It was Brooke.
Brooke.
Sorry.
Okay. Next on the agenda, communications. This is a part of the agenda we're gonna move around and start with 9.4 instead of 9.1. We're gonna start with 9.4, the superintendent update.
Thank you, Mr. Jacoby. We're going to start with our staff student recognition. If our board members would not mind to please come in front of the board table. We have 4 recognitions we have this evening.
I can hide these behind.
I'd like to start this evening by recognizing Mason Trom. Would you please stand? Would you please tell you what, why don't you wave, Mason? Very good. Mason has been recognized as a National Commended Scholar as part of the National Merit Scholarship Program. This highly competitive academic competition is open to students who qualify by taking the PSAT exam during their junior year. Mason is approximately one of 34,000 students nationwide, or approximately the top 3% of all test takers nationwide. Mason is an amazing honor as a National Merit Commended Scholar. Want to congratulate you. We would love for you to have the chance to introduce anyone that you came with this evening. And then if you wouldn't mind to come up, allow us to shake your hand and then get a picture with us. Randy, would you mind giving him a microphone?
I just came with my dad tonight, Lyndon Thrum.
Thank you, Mason.
Here in front of us.
Sure, they're gonna do our thing.
Okay, well, it's like you see, and then you're like, okay, everybody knows,
Sure.
okay. We used to do that.
Do we?
He reached out to you, you said go, I'm like, ah, just.
Pull back.
It's like. You will.
And Mason, you can stay standing because I believe you are part of all of our high school students that attended the Northland Youth Leadership Summit. If you attended that, would you please stand? And then please wait. Yeah, or wait. Thank you. Thank you. On October 2nd, 2024, 25 high school students who are Youth Coalition or STUCO members attended the Northland Youth Leadership Summit. The event themed Unite and Ignite featured keynote speaker Dr. Yvonne Harvey Williams. Students participated in workshops covering leadership, coping skills, substance abuse, and social media safety. Thank you to our community and action sponsorship who were able to pay all entry fees for our students, allowing them to engage in this impactful leadership experience. So I would like for everyone that's standing, I would like you guys to introduce yourselves, and then anyone that came with you. Mason, you're going to get to kick us off again. You did such a good job. And then after everyone's introduced themselves, please come up. We'll shake your hands and get a picture with you. And any parents will allow you guys, we'll make sure and stay up there so you guys can get pictures as well.
My name is Mason Thrum, and I'm still here with my dad.
Yeah, there you go. He didn't leave. That's great.
My name's Abby Freeman, and I came here with my dad, Scott Freeman, and my mom, Sarah Freeman.
My name's Braden Smith, and I came with my dad, Sean LaFeva.
Any, Yep.
Swim practice. Not a swimmer, so they wanted to thank you for recognizing.
Did you go with him that day, Jenny? Then why don't you come up as well and be part of the picture? Come on, if you guys would all come up, we'll get a picture with you. Parents, please come up as well.
Good job. Congratulations.
Our next group, we would like to recognize several educators as well as our entire high school team. Our Smithville High School was named to the 2024 AP Scholar Honor Roll. They earned bronze status on the honor roll for developing an AP program that creates a college-going culture and provides students with opportunities to earn college credit and maximize their college outcomes. In the class of 2024, all of the data is based on the seniors from the year before. 44% of our students took at least one AP exam during high school. 32% of those seniors scored a 3 or higher on at least one of those AP exams, and 9% of the seniors took 5 or more exams. So it's a huge lift. Advanced placement, dual credit. They very similar in terms. One is more of a through the College Board of National Recognition dual credits through a partner university. But to have these many students engaged in this, particularly 9% of our seniors taking 5 or more AP exams, is tremendous. So I would love a chance for our high school staff that came to introduce themselves, share their role, and then we'll make sure and have you guys come up and get a picture with you as well.
Hi, my name is Alex Hauk. I'm an English teacher at the high school. I teach AP dual credit English language and composition this year. There are 110 students in the program. And for AP dual credit English literature and competition and composition, there are 33 students in that program. Any student that challenges the course in May can take the AP test, which is what Dr. Moss was referring to. But we also have classes that are getting credit through Missouri State. That is our sister college.
Sean Logan, I teach our AP calculus courses.
I'm Jolie McCrary and I teach the AP psychology course.
I'm Jennifer Robinson. I'm one of the counselors at the high school. I'm also the AP coordinator. So I thought I would tell you that we have 211 students this year that are taking at least one AP exam, and they will take 217 AP exams in May.
I'm Rachel Cooper and I teach the AP and dual credit statistics course.
I'm Diane Miglitz and I teach AP 2D art.
My name is Tessa Kurtoys and I teach AP 3D art.
Thank you.
If you guys have yours here as well.
Pass those around.
Thank you guys for coming. We have one final group that we would like to recognize, and that is our Special Olympic athletes. Smithville High School and Smithville Middle School students proudly represented our school district at this year's Special Olympics, so showcasing their athletic skills and warrior spirit. All of the Smithville athletes delivered outstanding performances, with every participating placing and earning medals in their respective events. Special Olympics is a global sports movement dedicated to creating a world of inclusion and community where every person is accepted and welcomed, regardless of their ability or disability. I learned today, Mr. Winterborn, will you share what was the We'll let Angela. Okay. We're gonna put Miss Giamalva on the spot here, and I'd also like Angela Giamalva and would Micah Lewis please? I saw him here as well. Please raise your hands. If you guys wouldn't mind speaking to your athletes and introducing your athletes, sharing their experience, and then also the recognition that our middle school earned through Special Olympics.
All right, so the high school athletes that are here, I'll have you go ahead and wave your hands. And as well as we have unified partners. Yeah. So people from the school that are our reg ed students that go and support our athletes. So we have JC George. You want to raise your hand and wave.
If you're brave enough, could you stand up?
We have Britt Cook. We have Danny Shed. And then we have our unified partners. We have Marley McDonald. We have Jackson Leary. We have AJ Mason. All that I see from the high school. Am I missing anybody? All right, sweet.
Thank you, Micah.
From the middle school, we have Sawyer Hughes. We have William Kays. And Adrian Woolsey, he's not here tonight, but he also placed. And then our unified partners, we had 6 from the middle school, which is also goes into our Champs program, which is our peer mentor program. We have Grant Bolin. And we have Addie Shields. Also had Skylar Mueller, Brecken Mitchell. I'm sure I don't miss anyone.
Will Kays.
Hayden Humphreys, thank you, and Lily Maxfield. So. And then the extra little bit that Mr. Guinevere would like me to speak on is this year we've been tying our Champs curriculum, which is our peer mentor curriculum, to the unified curriculum for Special Olympics. And so it's about raising awareness, disability awareness, inclusion, all of that. And so we are a unified champion school at the middle school. So we're doing that.
Micah and Angela, the unified partners and the athletes, if you guys would all come up, we'd love to get a picture with you. Families, same thing. We'll give you guys a chance to take pictures as well. Oh, that's right.
You want done. Suggesting from 2 readings to 1 beer. And how they chose the little one. Yes.
Okay.
Let's go. Wow. I want to thank all of our special guests. Please know you are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, but if you do have somewhere to go, thank you guys for attending. We really appreciate you being here.
It's a lot of good stuff.
That was awesome.
It's good
Yes.
energy.
That group.
Chicken soup. Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not scooter.
Thank you. That makes my heart happy.
Good one.
Good group. Good.
Yeah, we just
good.
had an awkward size.
A lot of people come. I like that.
We're in an awkward size of space.
Yeah, I think we can bring it up during the. Yeah, more.
Right?
Maybe we put another one.
Maybe.
You know, it's gonna be
Maybe.
bigger.
Like this one.
Yeah.
Next month, each year. It's gonna be another big
We're
group.
having glasses.
It's talking about the AP bronze thing.
Okay. For later. I'll absorb it later when I have glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
See?
That's what it's about. Yeah.
That 9.4.
They weren't that far off. That was, yes, all across the board, going back to 9.1.
Warm my water. That's probably think I'm getting a little sip of our grandpa's old cup medicine. It's just, it's so goofy. I'm one of the people that rewatch the video.
I
don't.
Like I'm a real thing. Goofy. Yeah, I need to rewatch videos.
No, you don't. I've watched enough for all of us.
Was it a YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Smithville Communications. Yeah.
Watch
Our board meetings are.
Oh, I didn't.
If you like.
You done?
I'd say let's go to theirs.
Is this too big?
Yeah. Do a 9.1 and then I'll hit
Yeah.
the last 3 cents.
That sounded funny, didn't it?
Very minor stuff.
He didn't even realize.
Like you guys are sure about it. We'll do it when we come back. Yep.
All right, I think we're gonna move to 9.1. Comments from the students. So the floor is yours.
We have.
Would we want to start with the video first? Yes, please. Okay, I know that we have several students that could not be here this evening. They're at a basketball jamboree this
Yes.
evening, I do believe. So there was a video that was made.
You can just start it.
You can just start the video. So I think we'll start with the video. So, all right, go ahead, Randy.
Hello, my name is Maddie Marchetti, and I'm a sophomore on the Lady Warriors softball team.
Hold on, Matt.
While I've only been on the team for 2 years, I can honestly say that those 2 years were some of the most memorable times of my high school experience.
But I'm not sure now what I was made for.
Over time, I
Randy,
have
can
grown
you
to love
start
the
it up,
coaches on the
please?
team.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maddie Marchetti, and I'm a sophomore on the Lady Warriors softball team. While I've only been on the team for 2 years, I can honestly say that those 2 years were some of the most memorable times of my high school experience.
But I'm not sure now what I was made for.
Over time, I have grown to love the coaches on the team and the girls that I spend over 10 hours a week with, practicing and playing in games and tournaments. However, there's one setback. Unlike other softball teams in our district, we are lacking one thing: a turf complex. This may not seem like that big of a deal to you, but when you beat the team that traveled to state but lost to a team in districts that had a turf field, you can see why it might sting a little extra for us. We urge you to consider us female athletes who work tirelessly for a sport we love, but run into constant obstacles like injuries and late practices for turf purposes due to the current condition of our field. We hope you think of us and about how this would improve if we were a higher priority along with female athletics in general.
Hi, my name is Faith Peters. I do golf and track, and I think that the girls softball team deserves a new softball complex as a whole because the bathrooms are in really bad shape, and so are the seating arrangements. And yes, it's kind of bad.
Hi, I'm Kate Krim, and I'm a sophomore. I do basketball and soccer, and I think that the girls deserve their own softball field because if it's one complex, then it's just going to be a baseball field. The field distances, it's not going to be the same, and it's just going to be really problematic for everyone.
Hi, my name is Riley Miller and I play soccer and basketball. And I think the softball girls should get a new field because when it rains, it's not very durable. And with turf, it would be.
Hi, I'm Molly Sanders. I'm a senior. I play basketball. And I think the softball girls do need a new field because it's already in rough shape and it would help prevent injuries and just help them overall.
My name's Jordan Vincent and I'm a senior and I do swim. And I think that the softball girls could really use a new field because I know a lot of other teams around us have the turf fields and I think it'd be really good for them to practice on. And I think that it's time for a new field and that it would just be a really good addition to the school district.
Hi, I'm Julia Fisher. I run track and I play golf and I have friends that are on the softball team and I've heard them talk about how they'd really benefit from having a new field. And I think they really deserve it and I think it would be good for them.
Something I'm made for. Something I'm made for.
Yeah.
So hello, good evening. My name is Marley McDonald. I'm a sophomore here at Smithville, and for the past 2 years, I've been on the varsity softball team. I've collected All-State and a bunch of postseason accolades. I love this sport. I play coast to coast in the summer. It takes up a lot of my time, and I plan on doing it in the next level in college. And I love to build the game and give back to the game. So I'm here today to advocate for softball to have our own turf field. Some benefits that would come with it is it would, like the video said, it would show great investment into Smithville women's sports, and it shows equal support for both boys and girls sports. And having our own field would also get future girls excited who want to play softball. And having a new facility, I feel, would give them excitement to come to our camps, especially at the older level, because we have been lacking that, like seeing in this past year. And it would get them excited to come to games. And having a nice facility like this would be great for all of Smithville to use, no matter your age. It also benefits both baseball and softball to have separate fields. For example, baseball has started to do fall workouts while we practice and play games. So if we would have one field, baseball would be forced to relocate and find a different place to practice. And that's not fair to them, I feel. And also sometimes when varsity has a home game, JV or our C team don't have a game, so they have to go up to that little grass field up there that's very rutted from like track throwing, and they just get like some low quality reps in, and I feel it's not fair to them. So if we were to have 2 separate fields, they would be able to go and get higher quality good reps in if they were to go down to the baseball field, since the football turf fields are in use because football's in season when softball's in season. And we already have our own field, so we'd be very grateful to keep having our own field and not have to share with baseball, which, like the video stated, has different dimensions. We would have to use a temp fence that can be very unsafe. Like we had a tournament earlier this season where the like pointy stakes that go into the ground were up, like where you could touch and like run into them. We were very scared out there. And the like big backstop, it's not normal for a softball field to have a big backstop, which can easily get like a girl to move 2 to 3 bases, like seeing when we play at Raytown South. They have a combined turf field, and it's good for the team that's on offense, not so much the team that's on defense. And the batter's boxes are different too. Baseball boxes are smaller than softball boxes, and I'm a slapper, which means I kind of move through the box when I hit, and so it's kind of annoying. And sometimes if you're out of the box, you can get called out, and it's pretty annoying if you're on a baseball field. Sometimes the umpires don't remember that the boxes are shorter, and you can get called out. Also, having a turf field would fix some problems that we have right now, like we don't have water to the dirt, and that makes the dirt, when it rains, get like waves. And on the baseball field too, there's a lot of goose poop. It's really gross, and they just love the grass, and it's not as big of an issue on turf fields. They don't get much goose poop. And yeah, and when my team, sometimes they find high schools to practice with, they don't really want to come to Smithville just because of the poor conditions. They would rather go to Blue Spring South or Staley, which both have separate turf softball fields. And I want to play on a field that I would be proud of and proud of people to come to. That's all I have. So thank you for listening to me tonight. I'm always open for any discussions or questions that you have about this topic. I'm a proud warrior, and I hope that future warriors would be proud to play on a new turf.
Any other students?
Any other students with comments? No. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
her
All right.
your name was Marley, right?
Marley McDonald.
Yeah. I just want to make one quick comment that I'm glad that you ladies made that video and that you're willing to stand up and talk, because it's hard up here for us to go through these projects and understand, from a financial standpoint, what we can do and can't do and what limitations we might have. And for you guys to recognize that the best advocate for your needs is yourselves. So I just want to tell you, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I just applaud you guys. I'm proud of you for speaking up. It takes courage. And as a mom of a little 4-year-old who right now loves hitting dingers, I appreciate what you're doing because it can positively affect them. So thank you.
I would say the same thing. And thank you guys for being here this evening and speaking up. It means a lot. So, next up would be comments from the audience, and that would be Mr. McDonald.
Not entirely sure how to follow that. I give it a shot. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Marty McDonald, Smithville resident. Superintendent Moss, Board President Jacoby, and all esteemed board members, thank you for this opportunity in the forum. I speak tonight as a resident. I speak tonight as a former Parks and Recreation official who has built multiple fields, has done $70 million in capital improvement projects, 24-year baseball coach, a little bit of softball. I got to unretire this weekend in Florida and help coach, so it was fun. My knees do still hurt being on them all day. But I'm speaking as a concerned citizen and as a father who wants to see the best, not only for our male athletes, but also for our female athletes. And so what I'm here to speak to tonight, if we can get the PowerPoint up, is just to talk about opportunity. I think the video that we saw is extremely powerful. I think we have a great moment here in front of us, so I'll hedge low a little bit so we get that fired up to fix not only what is challenging today for both sports. No. Awesome. Thank you. And I'm fortunate enough to sit on the Booster Club as the secretary. I guess that's somewhat now official. So man, you can't be secretaries, so we're clear on that. And also on the baseball booster in charge of fundraising. So very invested in Smithville athletics. My son played here for 4 years. My daughter is Marley. We've got a couple more years ahead of us, but I want to just talk about opportunity. And I felt going back into my experience and working in municipal government, Parks and Recreation, that picture is worth 1,000 words. So we kind of understand as I click what we have today. I guess I'll stay close to the mic. You got the baseball field down in the valley. It's got some unique challenges, both from a ADA compliance issue, distance, parking, restroom facilities, you name it. Yeah, I like to walk. There's just a lot of challenges here. My father was elderly, and watching him walk down this hill to games for baseball was always an interesting endeavor. I must also thank Miss Fight for carting him up the hill because he would never make it. But the fields have challenges. The softball field has a lot of challenges. From a maintenance level perspective, it's deficient. From turf management, it's deficient. There's a lot of ruts in that field. We heard goose poop in a public meeting, so that's fun. But it does exist for both, and it is a challenge. And our athletes on both sides do play and practice in that. And I don't know if the board truly understands that. And so what we have is an opportunity. Fortunate enough in my network that I've got some really good contacts in the turf space. I had these made up just so we can have a visual of what something could look like, what it can be potentially. So this is by no means like a plan, but it's just an idea. Because again, it's about opportunity and like what if and how can we think about to make something dynamic. So, and my eyes are old, so I got to get close to this. You have a fairly large box to work with down in the pit, right? You've got the chat field, the baseball field. I kind of blurred all this out, but you've got some good yardage to play with. That big old pile of dirt up in the top can actually be repurposed for the project, which is good. But you still have parking issues. You've got to pump water up and utilities uphill. So it's not like the ideal spot, but it could be. And so what I've just thrown an idea together just to kind of stimulate some ideas and thoughts to try to help both programs out. But you can, in theory, create 2 fields down in that area just simply by moving home plate to left field for baseball and now retrofitting softball field into there. Somewhere in here, you can do your joint press box and restrooms with running water and flushing toilets, which would be nice and a big upgrade from what currently exists. And then even an opportunity to build a shared hitting facility with safe nets that don't have holes in them, as both fields currently experience right now. And you can put some metal covering over it. So I just wanted to kind of call this out and just talk about the opportunity. These girls they work a lot. They put a lot of time into this. The boys put in a lot of time. And as a bipartisan of both sports, and I mean this no disrespect to the district, both sports have largely been ignored and have had to deal with outdated facilities, rough infield conditions, rough outfield conditions. That in turn makes Jenny's job a little bit harder. It keeps our PTs in business. And I just think this is a great opportunity to do something cool, to do something new. Put in green LED lights on the field and really create a complex that the community is proud of. And you've got future generations. So the 4-year-old softball player is going to be 6, going to be 8 soon. You've got facilities. We had an opportunity with softball this year to play districts at Winnetonka, which I would never recommend ever again. But their bases were temporary on the baseball field. And we had a hitter get on base, and she stole second base and popped second base out into the outfield. And so what you can also potentially do is do this correctly is put plugs in to the baseball field so softball could host districts, which would be very nice and it would be really good for the school. So again, just wanted to throw that out there, get some ideas flowing, really talk about the opportunity to kind of reshape for the next decade for both female sports and male baseball here in Smithville. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have tonight.
Yeah, one question for you, Marty. I know when we previously talked, one thing that I just didn't have any awareness of is sun in relative to pitching and hitting. When you lay those fields out by moving that baseball, does that come into play still, or would that be still the correct orientation to overcome that challenge?
You, if we can pull, I would always defer to an official certified designer.
Sure.
But because the hill does create a lot of blockage today as it exists, first base, second base, right field at certain times of the year, that sun does become a little bit of a challenge. On the softball side, I think because you guys play in the fall and the sun orientation, the batter's eye really isn't impacted. And having that orientation wouldn't create a lot, maybe a little bit of right field peeking over the high school, but in the fall, I don't see that as being an issue.
Yeah.
You do get wind down there. We've had to repair a lot of sponsor banners over the years because of the wind. So it does change a little bit of that dynamic, but I also think you've got an opportunity to build some character into here.
Yeah.
I kept all the measurements the same. Google plot points were my best friend on Monday, going through all the dimensions. But if you wanted to make like left field fence taller, because it's the tree line, right? You can do that. But I don't think you'll have significant environmental impacts. And that's something that I've done a lot building fields in Arizona and having to deal with sun and bright sun a lot. So it's a big concern.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I know in some just casual conversations, there are people that have a hard time seeing that, yes, you can fit 2 fields down there. So I appreciate just that visual and the time you took to do that. Thanks.
Yeah, the visual helped a lot, being able to see it. So I appreciate you putting the effort in there.
I have a couple questions. On the ADA compliance concern, moving both fields into one spot, how would that overcome the distance for walking in the ADA compliance?
I don't think it immediately addresses it. There'll have to be some creative design, and I would defer to a certified designer. If you take that concept plan, I don't know who the district uses for projects like this, but there could be better opportunities to create better pathing wheelchair accessibility, things of that sort. And that's just getting there. I do feel the ADA restroom issue exists today on both fields as is. Not to call anything out, but that's something that a design bid build project can actually address from a facility standpoint with a shared concession, press box, and restroom facility.
And to use the baseball field as a dual purpose for softball tournaments, how do we then overcome the distance of backstop? Is it like 25 feet to 40 feet distant? I mean, the difference that even the student talked about. How do you overcome that? Plus still having the temporary posts to have the fencing and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Can we pull the file back up one more time? Sorry.
And yeah, some of these questions might be better for the architect.
Oh.
Eventually,
No.
right, yeah. I don't want to.
Oh, I totally forgot this slide. There's a lot of cool ideas that you can go up here with dugouts and bullpen requirements and press and all that. But I defer to Coach Bradbury and Coach Tim for what they really want. I'm just little ball coaching me through some stuff on the slide, but go back one. So to address this question, if we were to use this facility, speaking as an ex-catcher, the shorter the backstop, the better. So we would just design a shorter backstop for baseball. And it would also help like alleviating extra bases on wild pitches because catchers always block everything. And it's always the pitcher's fault for any ball that gets past. But it's just, those are the design elements that we could fix and address. If you were to play softball into the baseball field today, like let's say we want to do natural, the young lady that spoke here before could easily steal 2 or 3 bases on a wild pitch. That's not fair to anybody, right? And so I think those get addressed through the proper design. Hopefully that answers your question, Ms. Pruitt.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Any other questions? No, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you guys have done this evening. Yeah. And do we have any other comments from the audience? Anybody else? Yes, no? I should, okay.
And we'll talk about, well,
Yeah, so thank you for being here. And if you don't stick around for the rest of the meeting, further in the meeting, we will be approving our architectural firm for a possibility of a bond issue. And also in there is the survey results. And the survey results came back with the idea that we should try to pursue a separate softball field and baseball field. So, yeah.
I make this for support. I'm also part of the softball booster club, and I'm also a parent. And that's kind of one of my questions is the survey, and then also before we go to the ballot in April, if it does eventually pass and everything, what are there going to be the marketing tools, and how are we going to communicate effectively to the community, not just the school district, but the whole entire community? My husband and I have lived here for 22 years. So we saw Power One and the effectiveness, but we also saw it took us 3 times to get Eagle Heights. So I guess that would be my only question is that can we make sure that we do this effectively and maybe do committees or literally go door to door and just, communicate? So have you guys thought about that or?
Yes, we have, to be short. We have until towards the end of January to make the vote as a board if we are going to put both of these items on the April ballot. So given that we're going to hopefully approve the architectural firm this evening, over the next so much time between now and that meeting or that vote, we are going to be rerunning financials. We're going to be working with the architectural firm. And then at that time, we'll have a vote, and if we end up going to an April ballot, then we will know. And then comes that next step of what you're talking about. So did I answer that correctly? Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I agree with you, Christy. Just being in the community as long as you guys have, it will take a lot of effort. And I think we would have to use you guys a lot if you would, because listening to a student say those things is a lot different than me saying those things. So definitely would use the community, and we would have to really push for it, because yes, this is can be a hard community to pass things, but I think if we can show them the benefits and how good it is, I think we can. So I think you're right, Christy.
I can speak for softball. I do know Coach, AB, we call her AB, but I know AB is 100% supportive, and she gets the girls motivated, and I know she's willing to work together as with the board and with baseball, with everybody. It's not just about the facilities, it's also about what it can do for our teachers and everything else. So I just want to make sure that we're communicating it effectively across the board. And we do have, I know that she's talked about having softball players and, assist us any way we can.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything else? Anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations that the survey results did come back. You guys did amazing work on this, and you should be recognized for that. But now we're going to be tasked with trying to see how we can make this happen. So, anybody else? Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You guys also don't have to stick around. You're welcome to. You don't feel obligated to say. You can follow AB if you want. You can follow AB.
Oh, you got homework.
You want to finish? I promise.
No, not at all.
You're just the last 5 people.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Dr. Moss?
Yeah, just a few more items from the superintendent update. I always appreciate when our community and students in particular come and give that feedback. It's always great to hear from them. I always remind people like we don't have jobs, we don't have anything without our community, our parents, our families sending us their most valuable things every single day for us to educate. So thankful that they were able to come and celebrate and share their pieces with us. The 2 things that I wanted to share about, besides the staff and student recognitions, is we did have another superintendent's advisory council meeting. It's always great to have those 7th through 12th graders come in and engage. This month, we did talk about not only the survey and the community forum and those different pieces, we also really talked about Portrait of a Graduate and had our students go through the process of thinking about what makes them resilient, what makes them critical thinking, any of those pieces. We really asked them to reflect on that and ask them to pick one to work on between now and our December meeting. The idea being is when the board adopted the Portrait of Graduate in 2023, we've done pieces with it. We haven't really activated it yet. So that is something we're working on. Our principals, we're actually going to talk about that tomorrow morning during our district admin meeting, but really trying to activate that, because those are skills that as a board and as a community partners identified as skills that are transferable across all jobs. Whether you're going to be AB as a coach and teacher, whether you're going to be an electrician, any of those skills are valuable. So really trying to activate those. Also very excited I had the chance to wrap up our last building visit. I went and visited Maple on Friday and then finished up on Monday. Came back for a meeting I had to attend. It has just been so valuable to continue to get feedback from our teachers and hear from them directly. I spend the day there and just listen. They're able to come in during their either grade level time off, or our hourly staff are able to stop by when they can. I hope to continue to do those every semester. I want to make sure that I continue to get as many touch points as possible. One of the things I took away that I shared this afternoon at a meeting with some early childhood teachers is the kindergarten team there is like, it is such a difference when our kids are in our early childhood or preschool program. They can really tell the difference in how their kindergartners learn. And I think that just speaks to when we look at a pre-K through 6 experience, how important that programming is and how valuable it is for us to be able to have that in-house. The only other piece I would open to the board to share, we had our chance to do our building walkthroughs as a board. Thank you guys so much for coming. Miss Stewart shared it, just amazed at how many of you guys came. That is very unusual to have 6 or 7 board members out in our buildings committing the day. We look forward to doing that again in March before spring break. That's when the next one is planned, and just thankful. And if you guys had any reflections, our building principals are here to listen to you and share anything that you guys would want to give to them as a takeaway.
This was my first walkthrough and I enjoyed it. I loved seeing how well the students were engaged with the teachers and the response of the teachers with the administration, and everybody just seemed to all flow. It was perfect. And it was great to walk through the facilities and see everything that I've never seen before. So I thank you for y'all's time.
Yeah, I always say this is why I at least love coming to this, because it reminds me why I do what I do. I get to actually get in there to see the kids. I get to see the teachers and everything, and that's why I am a school board member, is for them. So yeah, it was really good to see everybody was engaged and working and listening, and that's really nice to see. So thanks for letting us invade you guys all and take that time.
I liked seeing the uniqueness of all the buildings and the classrooms specifically, and how the students kind of interact with each other in their classrooms, and the teachers are kind of given that creative freedom to get that environment set up so their students are successful in learning. And also I could tell that you all really were, showing a lot of pride for your building and your teachers and your students. And I really kind of felt that while I was walking around with you. So it was really great to hear.
It was very impressive to see the kids and the teachers in action. It's amazing to walk through and see so many they're so engaged that they are doing the work, and I was shocked at just how calm they were, because I know we can be a distraction. That can be a really big distraction for this group of adults to walk in, and they would glance at us, but they would keep to the task. And if we walked around and engaged with them and asked them to share with us, they were happy to do it. And one of them, I thought I scared, and I thought she was about to like cry but then oh, here, let me tell you, and let me share with you what I'm doing. So that I was very impressed today.
And I left there so excited to get to work up here and work on some of those improvements and the things that we can impact. And, we saw that. I said I found myself counting students in some classrooms, because classroom sizes has been a priority for us. And to see it and feel the difference in those classrooms was huge. So I'm eager to get to work on some of these design things and to help you guys to make your buildings wonderful. So, yeah.
Yeah. And just for myself, just thank you to everybody. I mean, I think everybody said everything that they can possibly say, but these are the fun days. I mean, outside of the turkey giveaway day. But no, this is so much fun to see all the students and all the age groups and the interaction of the teachers and the students. It's just so much fun for us. So appreciate it. Thank you for making a great day for us.
Yeah, and it's just good to see you guys prepared to, just like the softball ladies, prepared to advocate for your building's needs and show us and let us see it firsthand and have ideas prepared. You got staff involvement, and it's really good to see. We're always going to have work to do. It just comes down to figuring out how to get it all done and prioritizing it. And it's just good to see it firsthand and have you guys advocating for what you're doing well, but also what you guys are needing to continue to be better.
That is all. Thank you very much for letting me share.
Perfect. Okay. Correspondence. Okay.
We do have a correspondence.
Yeah.
Later. One more.
I apologize. Let me pull it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where?
Oh, thank you. Mr. Ware, um, had a, had a tragic passing in his family. His wife passed away. They were just, I was very impressed with how Eagle wrapped around, took care of him. He was very thankful, as you guys can see by his correspondence here, of the gift that the board provided him. So just want to thank you guys for doing that. And you guys may not have realized we did actually see Mr. Ware today. It was great to have him back, and I appreciate Melinda and team for wrapping their arms around him and making sure he's supporting during this time. Thank you, Melinda.
Okay. I think that is it for communications. Next up, 10.0, old business. 10.1, general financial review.
Yes, in your guys' packet, you will see it's a standard report. We have been receiving the funds that we anticipated from the state. They traditionally and are this year restricting a small portion. The one thing that we were just updated, it is not reflected in the October, but something we will probably see in November is they're going to start restricting transportation even more. As you know, the state for the first time, and I'm looking at Dr. Reich, I want to say ever, has funded transportation at 100% once, much less 2 years in a row. They had that intention of doing it a third year. Based on their financial outlook right now, they have reduced that, I believe, to 91.9 repeating. If you're wondering, 91.9 repeating. I don't know how they got that, but so we will potentially have to adjust our transportation reimbursement from the state. Otherwise, our numbers are as expected. One of the things that is interesting is we were looking at some transfers today for payroll, and we are notified on the 20th of every month of our state payment is we've started to receive some early payments of Clay County property taxes. So as you know, school districts largely live just like farmers do, where there's a big pay at some point. That's usually December and January for us. So right now we are at our leanest and meanest here in the district, but we are still strong financially. I want to thank Karen and her work with MSBA. Independently, she worked with Linda Quinley and we created a cash flow so that way we can predict each month. Also through MoCat, Jason Hoffman provides that for us as well. So I always think it's good for us to do that internally and not have that reliant, but have that ability for MoCat to come in and check us as well and provide that same information. So that way we have confidence each month that we have the right funds in place and that we are strong financially. So Karen, I did want to give you a thank you to that. And this is our lean time. So if anyone wants to pay their property taxes early to Clay County, it would be appreciated because they're usually pretty quick about getting this to us. But yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So it sounds like the state will be at about 91%, unlike
For transportation.
for transportation. Okay. Not the 50% company didn't ask. We're just going with 91% going forward for this year, this upcoming.
That's where they're at as of now.
Okay.
That can honestly change as Dr. Reich smiles. It could change. I don't anticipate any type of massive drop like that in this fiscal year. I honestly am a little surprised they reduced it that much. I kind of anticipated it going a little bit longer at 100%. I figured they'd come in between 95 and 98%. So a little surprised at that. But they also will sometimes reserve and we'll have more money at the end of the year. It's just something for us to be aware of. Nothing major for us to worry about or that we would need to respond in any way.
Good to know. Okay, that's info only.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Okay, next up, 10.2. Approval of MSBA 2024C board policy updates for the third of 3 readings. We have a motion to approve MSBA 2024C board policy updates for a third of 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a discussion. If not, please vote. Okay, motion passes. Next up, board subcommittees. This is where I throw it over to Mr. Nickel.
Yeah. So we met this afternoon for our meeting for finance committee. Main takeaways, we did have Brad Steele with Westbrook, our auditor. Just kind of give us a brief update. They're finishing the audit. Just key takeaways he covered. We came out with a clean audit. We'll have that in December for the board meeting. No concerns or differentiations from the last several audits. Reserve ratio was, as he put it, healthy, not wealthy, but in line with where they expect us to be at. We also went through our financial metrics. We went through looking at all the districts we identified last year. We're still waiting on Festus and Pleasant Hill to put their ASBRs out, and we'll be able to dive into that. We also went through our rankings of our classified jobs that Kim put together to see where we rank, and she'll be sharing that with the classified committee, who also has sent out their priority survey to give us some feedback in December for what they're looking to have us dive into and achieve for next school year. And then we also discussed our bringing on our community membership into that. So we'll be trying to get that posted and solicit some people to join that committee. So.
Okay, great. Anything else, Station?
No, that covers it.
Covers it. Next up, Raymond James, Dr. Reich.
Or you're welcome to grab the mic. Yeah. This evening we have Dr. Reich here from Raymond James. I mentioned him earlier for those to provide a little context. Dr. Reich served 13 years as superintendent of Platte County School District, which we won't hold that. He does not wear orange and black here. We were thankful for that. But he served 13 years there before transitioning to Raymond James. About a little over 18 months ago, the board approved Raymond James to be our bond underwriter as part of the work that he's done with us. In July, he came to the board finance committee where he shared kind of our debt, what some potential options are, what our capacity is. And he's here this evening to follow up from that conversation, provide updates based on interest rates lowering, as well as not only our bond capacity, but what a potential levy transfer could mean for the future, that we would still be able to pay future bond debt, even with a lower debt service. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Reich. I thank you for being here.
Glad to be here. Painesville Monday. I was in Macon Tuesday. Warrenburg today. So when I say I'm glad to be here. So thanks for having me. Yeah, we've looked at a lot of different financial scenarios. Some summer kind of refined one direction a little bit, and I think the board is still considering your final path, but you got to look at some actual scenarios before you figure out which path we're going to take. So I'm going to talk you through some the scenario that we're kind of landing on, getting close to, and please stop me if you have questions at any time. We're having this conversation or presentation, but throughout financing analysis. So we look on slide 3. First, I should probably the fact that this analysis does assume a 30-cent levy transfer. Okay, so your debt service. When I say transfer, it's not actually a transfer. You're lowering your debt service levy by the same amount as you're asking voters to consider to raise your operating. We call it a transfer because it is, but practically speaking, you're lowering one. Yeah, they're about the same amount. So the net impact of voters. So looking at the draft financing analysis, first let's talk about bonding capacity calculations on slide three. A couple of assumptions have to be made throughout this presentation. And, first of all, we are assuming 4.5% growth through the first 5 years, and then we are stepping down to 4% after that. You may recall, if you look at your last 5, your last 10, your last 15, your last 20, that's where we're getting these figures from. That's the best way to predict your future growth is to look at your historical. So that's where that comes from. I also want to stress that state assessed railroad utilities, we are allowed to use that as part of your bonding capacity calculations. We use a projection or an estimate. I am in the process now, have been for a little while, of obtaining certified letters from all of the state assessed railroad utility companies that are within the Smithville R2 boundaries. As of this morning, I had about half of them back. So I will continue to work that. Once we have them all back, what we are able to certify is what we want. Okay, because we want to make sure that we call an election that's to meet your bonding capacity, so that the state auditor comes in and wants us to justify where we got our information. We have certified letters in hand. So that's a process that we're going through right now. And so the estimated FY 23 or 25, sorry, is 19.3. Again, certified letters, and we'll figure out from there. And excuse me, your estimated bonding capacity for FY 25 is 19,348,359. So assuming that estimate of sorrow is accurate, that is where your bonding capacity is as I speak. Okay, 19,348,359. So turning over to slide 4, this is a tax levy analysis that assumes that you go to your maximum bonding capacity and also assumes that 30-cent levy transfer. And I'll borrow Mr. Steele's language, healthy, not wealthy. Your debt service fund is actually healthy and wealthy. You're in the enviable position of being able to do a sizable levy transfer, but also you have the ability to go to issue to your capacity and will, again, you desire to do so in the future. And so a couple things I want to point out here on this slide. If you look at column 5, that shows the contemplated series 2025 general obligation bonds, principal and interest payments. And you'll probably notice for several years you're paying interest only. And so that's structured to keep your total debt service somewhat level, but stepping up as your assessed valuation, tax basis. So basically, we want to make sure that your total debt service payments are set up so that you can afford to pay them and still maintain strong fund balances throughout the life of the bonds. And so if you look at column 6, right after the shaded column that shows the series 2025, you can see that your annual debt service payments, principal and interest, are relatively uniform, but stepping up as your assessed valuation steps up. Okay, so that's why that's structured. And if you think about structuring debt, just as your debt has been in the past, it's kind of like playing Tetris. You're just trying to shape the debt so that your total debt service payments are manageable. Okay. And then also I want to mention that this analysis only shows your tax revenue. You have some other forms of revenue with debt service. You're obviously investing for debt service fund balances. You have income from that. So these are conservative revenue estimates. And so the next area I want to call out on this slide is slide column 12. And if you can just look down that column, all of your fund balances year after year, making your principal interest payments with the 30-cent levy transfer, you are maintaining positive fund balances. And again, this is only factoring in your tax levy. And I also want to mention, we are showing a $3.9 million fund balance in fiscal year 25, or sorry, fiscal year 25, a $3.6 million fund balance. Your actual year end was 5.35. So again, these are very conservative estimates. Cash flow is definitely not the issue. Funding capacity is the issue. And obviously there's nothing that we can do about that, you nor I. And so you have more than enough cash flow to service debt that you issue to your constitution. Any questions there? Let's take it to place and stops and see if there are questions. Okay, so there's several schemes that follow. A lot of this doesn't matter right now. The source of use of the fund, how much premium we generate. We're showing on slide 5. See that second line at $1.349 million in premium generation. It's pointless to talk about that today because rates are what they are today. We hope that they're better and we're able to generate more premium. We will also work with the district to talk about coupon structures. We're showing 5% coupons. It may be desired for the district to consider a 5.25% coupon and generate more premium. Those are conversations for a later day. Right now, we're trying to get to that number that we know we've been about. We know it's beneath your bonding capacity, but we're getting as much for your project fund and at the lowest interest cost possible. I'm going to skip through several slides and call your attention. Trying to get close on the numbers, right? So what happens next is the question. We're here tonight talking about this, preliminary plans. The next board meeting, or January board meeting, whichever please, the board would adopt a resolution calling for a bond election. We have sample ballot language I'll cover next. And then we would need to file the board of election by the January 28th date. And then you run your campaign. And final election will be held on April 8th. After passage, Board of Education would be that went up what's on the website April 16th. Then each time you would approve the election result, but also you would approve a go-to-market resolution for the bond offering, and that would all get in the market on your behalf, and then submit what request to S&P to have a rating. And several items happen kind of behind the scenes there. A mission statement would be created, an offering document for investors so that they know what they're investing in, and that would be distributed to investors. And this all kind of culminates on June 18th when we go to finalize the negotiating sale on that day, the day after board meeting. We would come that night to tell you, hopefully share with you great news as you approve the final resolution. Basically, all of the final official statements are distributed, closing memorandums, etc. And then we close and account for the kind of how this goes from here. Hopefully that's helpful, especially for members. So, sample ballot language for each question that we're contemplating. There may be a few changes before next month's meetings. Like this, I would say 95% they are not. And so, yeah, so these are the sample ballot language. And then I have a slide 15, a little bit of history of the market. Volatility would be the description of the market right now. Placement of market. That's and we did that because of the volatility in the market. We now want to do a public offering, so we did private placement. I felt good about that actually based on 10-year treasury from the time when we locked in the 4.37 to the time we board authorized solution rates of US 10-year treasury bond of 14 basis points. So we felt like we did ourselves a favor there. And but I mean between now and when we're actually pricing these all kinds of things that happen. This is where I feel like communication is key. Market hasn't hired hearing from me.
Absolutely not.
Things work in your direction and all of a sudden Fed just lowered the overnight rate 25 basis points. We're hearing some talk that maybe they're not in such a big hurry to do that again next year. So it's just kind of a wait and see, and I'll keep you guys posted. There's nothing that either do about their rates are.
What was the dollar amount that Savannah did on their COP?
It's small. It was actually supplement $24 million COP that we did. Their bids came in high, so 4.575.
To supplement a previous COP. Gotcha. When you said the bonding capacity was 19.3 million, with the bond proceeds, you're estimating that our capacity is 20.6, 20.4. That's
with premium.
Yeah,
potential.
Right.
Showing 19.
Okay. I know I asked this before, but the snapshot that you're taking, is that from our current audited financial statements?
Yes.
The one that's being done and been finalized right now?
We have not used your current audited financials, but we have used your past audited financials and updated anything that the district knows about it.
Okay. But that would be the one. That's the year you're using for these calculations. Okay. And these numbers obviously include TIP in there.
Yeah, actually. Look at
And then the
one with your fund.
Yeah.
The tip amount, and then what we end up settling on state supplemental utility, that's restricted 15% of that, but the higher fund balances that you actually have over what we're showing, that's dollar for dollar.
And we know that our issue with the data centers will be that it's not recognized for our bonding capacity because of the poorly written law and everything else around it. Is that something that you will help us with once we get commitments on the chapter 100s and the chapter 68s, kind of forecasting out how much our bonding capacity should be if we ever were able to utilize, if the formula ever recognized the chapter 100 and chapter 68, because there's a difference, there's a range from what we're actually doing right now versus what we could in theory do. But because it's a chapter 100, we won't be able to recognize it. Your firm will be able to help us with those calculations. Right.
We do a lot of that. The real challenge in that, Jacoby, I know you're familiar with this, but the real challenge with chapter 100 is to get an actual fair market value of this property.
Yeah.
In some cases, data centers, that might be a little more complicated to do, but the impact, if we could count that property, it's near and dear to my heart that we had, not only that chapter 100 coming toward the end of my senior thing, but that other chapter. At least count the valuation associated with the pilot.
Correct. Yeah.
So changes on.
Great. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thanks for including the sample ballot language in there for anybody that hasn't gone through this before. The tax levy transfer question is deceiving. To when it looks like at first, if somebody's just reading it, it looks like we are increasing the operating tax levy if they don't keep reading and understanding that. But to know this is state law, so the ballot has to say this, and so that's where it takes lots of education from the districts, the school, the community on getting that out there. So thanks for putting that in there.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Sometimes make it harder to communication can be beyond this, but there's several examples of districts that have wildly successful doing these levy transfers. Platte County just did even a more complicated one because they have proxy labor to educate the public as well. So it's doable. Making sure everything.
Any other comments?
I would just like to thank, I do want to mention, I had asked Dr. Wright to put in the December 11th board meeting. We have the opportunity to, as he shared, it's at the board's pleasure of when this would be adopted. We can adopt that in January. It's absolutely your guys' decision on when that is. I apologize for not putting it in there into, we had our audience ask about a plan. I would just like to share, please know that we've already started. We meet weekly. There's a small team of us that get together weekly to sit and talk and say, what are those next steps? Part of it was preparing for the community forum, getting the survey out, filtering through that information, bringing it out. But we're also starting to talk about what does that rollout look like? It would be very important for us to educate inside out, making sure that our staff members within this district understand. One of the things that Dr. Harris who replaced Dr. Reich at Platte County shared is he gave credit to his staff for getting their Prop C waiver as well as their levy transfer or shifting because of the education that they were done. Because, like Susan shared, eventually who they want to hear from is our community members. There's only so many quick newses that I think people are going to open before they're like, I don't need to hear from Mark anymore. And it really is the price chopper, the ball fields, the parent teacher conference, or the hallway visit that you may when you're dropping your kid off at school that will make the biggest difference. I really appreciate you putting all of this together. We have a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the board gives us for direction moving ahead.
Any other questions for Dr. Wright? Well, thank you very much, sir, for being here.
Thank you.
Go home, get some rest. All right, next up, 10.5, capital campaign feedback and recommendations. Doctor.
Yes, I worked with Mr. Saxton, Mrs. Hedgecourt, Dr. McGinnis, Mrs. Harwood, Mrs. Davis, as well as Mrs. Ambrosia. We had a lot of conversation about this, and we were trying to put something together so you guys could see what the results were. I feel like we had a really good response rate to our survey. We had over 600 responses. We had over 80 people engaged in the community forum. For comparison, the last community forum and survey the district sent out, there was about half as many community forum participants and about a third as many responses. So we were happy with those responses compared to our district survey that we send out for parent responses every year. It's well more than double. So appreciate everyone that got the word out. And then we put these in 3 buckets is what we wanted to do for you guys. So that way we're not only looking short term, but we are looking for what those things are going to be in the future. And any work we do moving forward serves us well based on the direction that our community's given us. And I also just want to reinforce that these inputs come from our 10-year plan that was adopted and developed in school year 2019-2020, the community forum that occurred in April of 2022, the strategic planning process that was adopted in May of 23, but occurred during the 22-23 school year, as well as the rounding that Mr. Saxton and Mr. Bogart did with all of our building leaders. And those building leaders had received input from that staff. And we're lucky to have great advocates, as you guys heard earlier today, particularly from our secondary students. So there is a lot of inputs that have come in to develop this list. And as you guys look through these, there were 3 things that rose to the top from those inputs, and that is renovations at the high schools. We grouped a couple things together as you look at those, from classrooms, which was by far the #1 desired response, was the high school. We had almost half, it was 49.9, but almost half of all respondents, and they clicked multiple, clicked high school classrooms and corridor and foyer renovation. So very exciting to see that. That followed with middle school improvements. Things that you guys saw today with Mr. Winterbore were classrooms, the library. He was able to take you guys into the locker rooms, restrooms. There's other things that fit within there that we don't list completely. And then the separate baseball, softball, and baseball facilities that Mr. Jacoby shared earlier. So our idea was that these are our driving pieces. There are our alternatives or secondary that we also include in there. One of our desires, and listening from everyone from our students to our recess aides to our elementary schools, is more all-weather surfaces at our elementaries for students to play on, particularly if you think about the rain we had just this week. Middle school Horizon Preschool Playground, as we've expanded our preschool, we have a playground at Horizon. Our students do play on it. We do not have a preschool specific playground for those students to work with. And then we have restroom improvements both at Horizon and Maple. And I should have made sure and hit that the middle school is restrooms as well, if I didn't mention that. Then we have really future considerations where you see tennis courts, grandstand and fencing around our stadium, middle school feed improvements, grade level considerations. One of the things that came up that Mr. Winterbore heard a lot during the strategic planning process was potentially bringing 6th grade back to the middle school. I've also heard conversations around a 5th and 6th grade building. I think that's a conversation we need to start engaging in with the growth we anticipate from Smithville. And then if we do look at future centers, and I think of center as whether you call it an early childhood center, a new school, we need future land. Those would all be our learning centers. So what we're looking for this evening is to answer any questions you guys have on these 3. What we would then go back and do, if you guys give us the thumbs up or we need to make any shifts of how to move this forward, we would begin working with a design firm that you guys will have the opportunity to approve as the next agenda item tomorrow, to start having the conversations and putting some costs behind these, so we can then bring that back for considerations and see what that list truly looks like and have a better idea. But would be happy again to answer any questions. Like I said, I presented this mainly with Mr. Saxton's transition, but I appreciate the entire team having those conversations throughout at 7 o'clock on Thursday mornings.
I just have some comments.
Please, yeah.
The surveys, and I've shared this with you. I just want to make sure that it's not like we have over 11,000 people in our community. Plus we have students that are in the Kansas City that we receive funding for. They're in our tax district. And our surveys we send out to 6,000 people. We have a lot more that I assume that would touch. And I want to make sure that we're not saying that the surveys are the directive or the commitment. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver is what I don't want to do. I want to be careful that this isn't like, that's it, we're doing this and there's nothing else on there. I want to make sure that there's other discussion, maybe even the board have a future, like a facilities committee where some community members are pulled in, administration, some board members, and we can have more discussion. And we can have like a plan A, plan B, plan C, even with the ball field, so that we're not saying we're gonna do something and then we pull back and then there's disappointment. So I just wanna make sure that whatever we're discussing or what we're approving isn't like, this is it. I just wanted to clarify your thought.
Yeah, so, I guess that we might have left that part out from the finance committee meeting. Mr. Saxton has been working on the idea of, an asset, an inventory essentially of all the projects per building. It's something that we have not had in the past, so he is setting the stage with that foundation. So to your point, yes, we all agree, absolutely, 100%. This document here is not a final document.
So this is info only, it's not.
This is info only. This is guidance on our bond issue. I think the conversation of facility upgrades is going to be something that continues to happen and continues to happen quite frequently, which hasn't happened.
Well, and really it's just showing the results of the work we've done. I mean, 2-3 months ago when we first started talking about this, one of the biggest questions we had was, you know, what do we need to do? What needs to be a priority around baseball and softball? All of us asked, what do the kids want? What does the community want? Does everybody want one field? Does everybody want 2 fields? Well, we know now what the kids want. We know what the community wants. So I feel like, you know, to your point, the population of responses isn't a massive reflection from the community, but I mean, 600 responses is a good amount. 80 people showing up to that forum was a good amount. So I mean, I appreciate you guys. We know that all of us were a little stressed trying to get this bond into this next April vote, and I know you guys put a lot of work into it. And it's good to see at least some feedback, even if it's not totally representative of our population. But this answers a ton of questions that we had 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's a good temperature to know what the people who did respond, what their vision is. I just want to make sure we're not the people who didn't respond, and those are the people who complain later. I just want to make sure that we're
Well, I think, yeah,
continuing discussions.
I think, correct. I think that's the point of, you know, going forward, is that we continue this dialogue. It's a dialogue that really hasn't transpired in a living sense from our school district. It seems that in the past it's one bond issue to the next, and I think what we are striving to do going forward is to have continued dialogue with our building leaders. So as when we took the tours today, we can identify and see other projects that can be done. And so this, in a sense, will be a living document going forward.
And I think, you know, one thing we've talked about is what can we incorporate into deferred maintenance? You know, what can we've never really had a good deferred maintenance plan. So we've always depended on bond to bond. Well, we've got some big things that are going to take up a lot of money from the bonds, but we need to keep up with the daily, the bathrooms, some of that kind of stuff. So I think we're trying to incorporate some of that into that issue too. So it's not just bonds.
Because in our top tier, I would love to see, I mean, elementaries aren't included in that. And I think, you know, we have high school, middle school, and softball, baseball. I'd like to see some of that come from the second bucket up into the first, so that we also make the elementaries a priority.
Happy to move anything you'd like. A history on that is we just being here in the district for so long is we have upgraded all of the elementaries recently enough. The high school is 1969 and it's not.
Well, I think it's a priority. I'm not debating that. The high school needs to be number one, in my opinion. That needs to be a priority.
But that's sort of where I think the community and everybody is saying we got to start with some of these we haven't done before. That does not mean this other stuff is not going to get done. It might just not be the first thing. Yeah.
I think we're doing a really good job though. Just getting in there, like personally as a board, we're pretty high level. So getting in there, talking to the people that are in the buildings, the students even, and then engaging the community, which you guys came out in, you know, record numbers. I think we're doing what we can to reach out to as many people as we can, to the ones who are willing to hear us, and you know, the other ones we'll still try to chase them down to get things passed, to make movements happen. But I mean, I can see us. I mean, we're moving mountains right now to reach as many people as we can, and everything is priority. Like everything needs attention. So I think this is a good start to really find the top of the priority list, you know, and stuff is going to move around a lot, but I feel like we've kind of touched all the main points and the groups of people to prioritize the top points that need our attention first. And you know, something else might shoot up there unexpectedly, but like at least we have some kind of direction now, and it wasn't at just one group of people, it was a collective of what we could amass in a short amount of time.
And I want to keep on that conversation, like go into more details and have a great committee, give all your input for these fields. Even the locker room in the middle school, I mean, I brought in 2 students, and how do you use this? Oh, we all gather around one little plug-in. If we could have a shelf, if we could have, you know, like we want that input, the design. I mean, we want to continue that impact or that input. So yeah, I don't think we're done just with this list and say, have at it, design firm.
Yeah, and we're not, you know, we're not teachers. Some of us aren't, but I don't know what it takes to be a teacher, or what it takes to run the entire building, or what it takes to be successful in the softball field. So when you guys get a chance to talk to us and explain the differences between baseball and the softball, the coloring on the field, the size of the mound, or how close it is to the plates. I mean, this is all stuff that I've never experienced. I've never played softball. Do I play sports? Yes, but never that one. So to hear from you guys directly was very enlightening for me. And I know the community members that were there at the tables were, you know, you were sitting with people you don't know, just hearing from you on your priorities, and then maybe you hearing from them on their priorities. I think it was very educational for everybody. I know I learned a lot, and that helped me be confident in the decisions and the primary considerations that arose from everybody's collective opinions here. So I feel good about the direction that we're starting.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I'll probably push, for some of this all weather surfaces at the elementary school.
That's the one that
I mean, we saw that, so that's no secret. I'll
But I,
advocate for that too.
yeah, I think this will be now we're going to be tasked going forward with continuing this conversation. You know, first off, we need to get our architectural firm approved, right? And so there are certain steps we're going to take, but this conversation is going to continue, and it's going to be exciting. Actually, you know, it's a great opportunity for us, and I'm excited for everybody. So. All right.
I guess before we leave this, we need direction on what you guys want moving forward. So, when we were at MSBA, I really liked the way another school district, who I will leave nameless, described their projects, which as they approached different bond projects, they didn't call it, here's our 10-year plan, here's our 5-year plan, here's our 20-year plan. They simply said, here's our new chapter. So they were able to have that conversation each time that opportunity came to engage, whether it was what Dr. Reich was sharing earlier, a certificate of purchase, a lease purchase, or a bond. And I hope that is the way that we can start having this conversation. So that way, like, we're turning over the next chapter of our district. And if it's 2 years, if it's 3 years, if it's 5 years, as we go through this process, that we're always revisiting these things to identify what is that next chapter. But from what we have, are you guys comfortable with us moving forward with this, knowing that future's probably not with our capacity that you heard from Dr. Reich is not going to be a possibility, but we can look at whether it's all 6, but those pieces moving forward. Okay.
I would say look at all 6. Give us, I think cost is going to shock a lot of people, and I think we need to see it.
We do need to see the cost, and this is info only. Actually, so really, we can't really commit.
Well,
unless we want to do
I don't need a vote. I just need to know, like, if you guys are not if there are great concerns with this list, we need to know to make any adjustments. If there are not, then absolutely.
That's a great starting point.
And, you know, listening to Mr. Vbrock today, like when the design does give our numbers, like, will they go and ask, you know, what do you actually need? Will they communicate more with?
Let me get to the next section.
Okay.
Cut him loose, Scott, cut him loose.
Cause some things we think he might.
It's like
maybe they don't,
11.1.
You know, so, okay, okay.
Cut
I'm
him
ready.
your business.
Let's go.
Ian wants to do it.
He's ready to run. Let him go. Cut him loose.
Please
Woo, gosh, it's been rough.
pursue this, please.
Okay.
First of all, never has an executive director of operations been so excited to watch individuals talk about deferred maintenance. Proud of you guys. There's a lot of neat things going.
And that will be the last time that we talk about the first set board meeting.
There's a lot of incredible things happening, and you guys tasked us with 2 months ago to figure out what it would be to hire a new architectural designer. And it was a task. And, so we were able to sit down as a cabinet, and I appreciate our cabinet team and our building teams to kind of help develop the parameters of this. But what could it be? How do we go about doing this? And we were able to kind of really reach out and solicit from 5 firms. We released an RFQ and got 5 firms to participate with us in that process. And out of that process, we shortlisted 3 firms. And what that really meant is we sat down for 2 hours and had intentional conversations about how do you go about design? How do you go about engaging stakeholders? How do you break up your fee structure so we can get the most value out of our dollar? And we went through those intimately. How have you compared like projects, and show us your portfolio of what you can do? And I'm so excited to be able to introduce Mr. Patrick Smith and Dwayne Cash from Insight Design Studios. They they went through the gauntlet with us, and they spent a lot of time with us and considerations, and they clearly came out on top. And for me, as a guy who is stepping away from Smithville School District to take another opportunity, I wanted to leave you guys with a firm and a partnership that I believed in. And, at the end of the day, as I was having conversations with Patrick, it's like, I want you to be an advocate for Smithville. That's first and foremost. And I'm excited to introduce these guys. You guys are welcome to stand up, introduce yourselves, say anything on behalf of your firm, but this is who I would recommend that you partner with as you look at the future bond considerations in front of you and capital projects. And I'm excited that they're here to be a part of this with you.
Well, yeah, appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. It was a gauntlet, but it was a fun process too. We're over the moon to be here, and working with you all as you go through your next steps and figure out and work as a team member with you. Was one of our big things, relationship and teamwork, and how it's not just us or the construction team or the school district. We're all one team working and rowing in the same direction to get the best projects for you all and be able to check as many of your needs off. Every district has a long list of needs. Doesn't matter how big or how small, and those usually are longer than the dollars that Dr. Wright can do that. Right. So all we can do is just, as that team, do the best we can to figure out what is most important for Smithville School District. Right. So that's what we're here for. You talked about stakeholders or like what kind of meetings we will have, and we will go sit down and discuss with building admin and teachers. And we've sat down with students, and how do you walk through the building and like take us through this process and what's important to you, because we are an education firm and we're Insight Design Studio. 90% of what we do is K-12 architecture. We have 4 studios, St. Louis, Wichita, and then 2 in the metro, Kansas City and Overland Park. So we do a lot of school projects. It is something different in every school district, right? So, you might hear these same terms, a lot of makerspace and or different things like that, but it means something just a little different. And so being able to listen to your staff and how you all operate to put those final touches, because you really have, you talked about it, you haven't touched the high school in a number of years. So yes, you might have multiple bond issues every 2, 3, 5 years, whatever that looks like. But it's not at every one of those bond issues are you doing projects at those schools. Right. So you have to do this one right and make it as functional as possible, as cost efficient as possible, so you can get as many of those other projects taken care of. So that's really what we're about. I know you've actually. been
You
in
want to
this district.
explain to them, Dwayne, some of your experience?
Thank you. Glad to be back. Some bases. I worked here previously. I was the architect that did Eagle Heights, Maple, remodel of Maple. So really excited to be back in the district and to see what we can do in the future. The future is bright. It's a great district, great people, great community. Excited to look at what we can do to bring some creative ideas to the table, to stretch those dollars, to solve problems, just not for today, but for the future. We pride ourselves on listening, asking the deep questions, hard questions, and understanding what the real need is. Designing a space for kids, always for the kids, not for us, not for somebody else, but for the kids. Really pride ourselves on thinking about the future too. Let's don't do something today. Don't have to do it and do it again. Because we, a rash decision. So we're ready to go. Tomorrow we'll start working on it. If you approve this tonight, that is.
So we had a few people, and I'm glad, Marty, you guys got to stick around and kind of like, well, how do we go about and how do we start moving it forward? And I've been working with Dr. Moss to really start honing in preparation for tonight. We're meeting tomorrow with our key partners from a design element standpoint tomorrow, 3 to 5, right? From there, we're going to start debating the timeline considerations on how do we forecast the frequencies in which we need to meet and work together so we can position us, not if we run a bond or not, but how do we start going about that? How do we start setting up the engagement cycles? Who our key stakeholder groups are, who the executive leadership approval group is, so we can start to execute effectively and efficiently. God, I'm fired up for you guys.
I am too.
I've been waiting too long to talk. So it's with my highest recommendation that we move forward with Design Studio, and I appreciate this board and Dr. Moss allowing me to be part of that opportunity.
Yeah, I think as a board, we haven't really shied away from some of our frustrations in the last bond project, which has led to this opportunity for you guys. And I know for me, I had a strong desire for us to have a design firm be a partner with us. And I'm glad you guys use that terminology and really wanted a firm that has an eagerness for our business. We're not the biggest school district in the area. There's certainly a lot of opportunity for firms like yourself in the area that be much more substantial than us. But it is important to us that we have a partner that cares and is eager for our business. And just the fact that you guys are here tonight means a lot to me and tells me a lot about your guys' abilities to take on this project and your willingness and eagerness to take it on. And the feedback from Ian of your guys' visit, how in depth you guys were, how willing you were to provide just renderings of your capabilities, tells me a lot about you guys, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, you all are excellent. Go ahead. I've seen some of your projects and it's excellent, and I'm excited to partner with you.
Well, and I, being in my first term, I would probably do things differently from the last bond project and previous bond projects. I go back to, man, if we just had more input from people, we probably wouldn't have made that mistake, or they would have been like, hey, why didn't you think about this way? So I love that you're willing to listen. Please engage our community. We have a lot of talented people. So a few ideas, little tweaks here and there can make a really big difference. So yeah.
Yeah, so to kind of go with what you're saying is when we go down this path, if we end up going down this path for a bond issue, you're going to engage our buildings, our building leaders, our teachers, our students. And if an opportunity arises for us to have a workshop with the public, again, you guys would be available for that too, right? Right.
It is.
And I know that we're excited. I just know that our community would be really excited to be able to have input in this. So.
I would like to make a motion to approve the architectural design firm proposal as written.
So second.
You guys want me to read it first?
Oh,
Sure. We're excited.
Technicality. Here we go. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the architectural design firm RFQ proposal as presented?
So moved. Second.
So moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, please vote. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Thank you for being here.
And you're okay to leave if you want.
Thanks for
Stop.
sticking it out. We might be here a long time. If you stick.
We're about
around,
wrapped up. It's time to stay.
Only
Thank you, guys.
Let's get going.
All right, next up, 11.2, local records preservation grant. We have a motion to approve the digital conversion and subsequent destruction of the old board minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this?
No, just thanks Karen for taking this on, getting the grant,
Yes.
doing it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so
Huge
much.
undertaking.
First binder is 1935 to 1943.
No, I did have in there. Just we found lots of cool stuff.
Great.
You know, save an old document.
I have a
It's
couple.
amazing that
Some fiery public comment.
Interesting to look back.
Dad's contract from 1982.
Absolutely. Okay.
Bill Mott stuff.
If no further discussion, please vote.
There's
Okay, motion passes. 11.3, records management estimate. Do we have a motion to approve the records management estimate as presented?
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion. We have a second. Do we have a discussion? Station. Let's cut. Do you have any discussion on this matter? If not, please vote. 52. There we go. 11.4, approve MSBA policy ECA 1, building and ground security for the first of 2 readings.
I'd like to make a motion to move this for 1 reading instead of 2 and approve it tonight as written.
Karen, how would you like to?
Well, let's get a second.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now we have a discussion.
Now we can discuss. Yeah.
I only have one question. The memo modification is different from what is actually in the policy. And so I was just curious if,
I had updated that.
okay,
it should be,
It-
yeah.
for some reason it's not showing up on mine. Perfect.
Mine's still back at 11.2. So,
Thanks for updating that, Karen.
Yes, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
I didn't catch it. I'm.
I-
I had no problems.
I have no issue with this at all. So, do we need to do any,
I'll just change the recommendation to,
one
1 reading.
reading?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the modification because that is the motion on the floor,
Mhm.
what Ms. Pruitt has
Yes.
done. So, and we have a second. So, any other discussion on this matter? So. Let's go ahead and vote. Did you need any more time on that? Okay,
We're approving the MSBA policy ECA 1 for the first of 1 reading.
first of 1 reading. Okay. All right, perfect. Motion passes. Leave.
Well.
Okay, there we go. All right, next up, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about adjourning? If not, please vote.
Never not funny, huh?
Never not funny.
Thank you all for coming and staying this evening. You're welcome to come December 11th, same time, 7 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, guys.